Good morning, welcome back to Barrels and Bullets. It's a sensational Saturday morning. I'm headed to one of my firearms classes, specifically for a precision rifle. So I got my Ruger 1022 and my regular 16-inch AR. I always get excited when it's time to go to these classes. I'm always learning something new. You know, I think I'm a half decent shot. I mean, who you think taught John Wick? But anyways, it should be a great day. So out there, I'm gonna try to get as much footage for y'all as I can. The goal today, as far as I know, is to consistently make, you know, a 1-inch group at 100 yards. It's kind of difficult with kind of mixed up ammo. It's not really, you know, match type of ammo, but we'll see what we can do with it. No excuses, just trying to learn. It's a beautiful day out here after the storms came through. Should be 80 degrees today, so good time for just some one-on-one training. And yeah, that's pretty much it for today. So once I get out there, I'll set it up and, you know, we'll be ready to get to shooting. All right, y'all, so we finally made it out here. It's about a 30-minute drive from my house. We finally got out here. As you can see in the background, got the range. It's a little wet out there because it went crazy yesterday, but we're gonna get it in regardless. Got some other people over there training, but we just about to set up the rifles and whatnot, and then we'll get to training. So real quick, I wanted to show y'all the setups. So this is my Ruger 1022. It's literally brand new, synthetic stock. Got a little Viper, I think this is the Diamondback Tactical, I don't remember. A little bipod I installed on there. We'll see how it runs, especially with that swivel installed. But that's the 1022. And then I also have this brand new AR. This is a PSA and arrow. PSA lower and arrow up. I got them for cheap, so we'll see how they run. This is with the Vortex. God, dog, forgot the name of the scope, but it's the 1.8, and I got my OSS suppress on there, so we'll see how it runs together too. All right, y'all, so today was a long day. This will be the wrap up or the summary to the course that I took today, which was precision rifle. While we're at it, I'm gonna be sipping on this beautiful beverage right here from Old Soul. It's a single barrel hot rod bourbon from 2022. So we're looking at like a 7 to 8 year product from them. I ain't gonna lie to y'all, the first time I opened this bottle, which was probably like in early February, I opened that bottle, took a sip, and I was like, this ain't it. This was probably one of the worst things I ever tasted since I began on my little bourbon journey. So I was kind of mad. I let it sit all the way up until, I let it sit for like a month and a half, and I went back to it. I was like, let me get another shot. Popped the bottle open, got a little pour, and man, it had changed so dramatically. I was shocked. I stopped, I put it down. I was like, nah, this can't be the same bottle. But it was, and it's delicious. I love it, especially being high rye. But back to the course summary. So I'm gonna give y'all what I learned today, some things that maybe you can implement into your routine. And yeah, some things I noticed just in general. A lot of good information from this class. I won't give y'all all the good stuff. I mean, that would defeat the purpose of taking the class. But you know, I'll give you some good general information I think you guys should know. So the first thing that I worked on was stability. Now mind you, the course is based on being able to create the smallest group at 100 yards as consistent as possible. So if you do it one time, cool. Twice, awesome. 3, whatever, so on and so forth. But you'll quickly realize that it's not as easy as it sounds, especially with factory-based products. Not to say that's an excuse at all, as you'll see when I upload the pictures and the footage from today. But it's just something to consider. So the first thing I struggled with off top was stability. Now, being in the Army, we have a lot of unsupported positions where we kind of use sandbags, and you just kind of make up stuff to kind of support the gun. So I found myself I was tense, and when you're looking down the optic at 150 yards, 150, 300 yards, and you're trying to aim at such a small point, you'll start to realize you're just chasing the reticle. It's just all over the place. So me, I'm sitting up here, boom, one shot, and now I'm back to chasing the reticle, just hoping I can time it right. So what I learned from that is relax. The same concept goes to the pistols. I gotta relax on those too. Just bad habits I've built up over time. And when you're trying to perfect or master your craft, those are the things you kind of have to change. So relaxing, the less input you can put into the rifle, the better. It'll make everything so much easier. You won't feel as tired, hot, whatever you want to call it, uncomfortable. Because not every time you'll be shooting from a bench, you can be in uncomfortable positions, and you got to know how to be the most efficient. So that was the stability lesson, first off. And then we ran into ammunition. So what I brought was some Aguila 22 long rifle, copper plated 40 grain. I'll post a picture. And that's what I've been using in my pistol. I've never put any rounds through the 1022 until today. So I didn't know how it was going to perform. I had low expectations for it, honestly, being that it was really cheap. So we loaded it up. I got zeroed, and here's the group. I was like, it's okay. It was kind of my expectation for it. I was like, it probably won't do too well. I was kind of making excuses, I ain't even gonna lie to you, because I didn't know what right could look like. All I knew was you had to find the right ammunition for your gun. Cool, so I shot a few more groups. We were hitting targets, but again, it still wasn't how I wanted it. So then he let me try his bolt action rifle, which is set up for competition. So I shot the bolt action, insert target. And you can see that there's a significant closing of the group size. So already I'm like, okay, so I am doing the right things. It just may not be the proper factors for my gun to perform optimally. So he just so happened to have an extra box of some, what's the brand? It was Aguila Golden Eagle match ammo. Cool. Loaded up, 3 shots. Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, essentially almost on top of each other. And granted, it wasn't bullseye because it wasn't zero to the ammo, but the group was super tight. I think I have pictures of that. And I was shocked. So once we zeroed it up, did the same thing, 5-10 round shot, just stacking them. So off top, I already knew my gun like that. I really don't foresee myself using anything else given the price and the performance. It's a nice balance for me. I can work with that as far as training. I really don't need too much more than that. So the lesson I learned from that is you have to test different ammunitions to really see what your weapon likes. It may take you may get lucky like I did today and find it in one try, or it may take you multiple boxes. And that's why you just gotta test, varying manufacturers, weights or whatever. You see what your gun likes. Could you kind of guess based off a couple other factors? Yes. However, for the average person, that's a lot of work. So really, like I said, test different ammos, and it's really just range time. So once you find what you like for whatever purpose that you're using it for, run with it. It's beautiful. So on the same topic of ammunition, I'm starting to learn that velocity doesn't necessarily equate to accuracy. So I always thought, hey, if I can get the round to go faster, even out of shorter barrels, I'll be more accurate. Not quite the case in rimfire or centerfire cartridges. So with the rimfire, I did learn today that they kind of have a different bullet construction, and not in the difference of components, but they have this little special secret that they do to the bullet itself that I never knew and never even paid attention to until it was shown to me today. I won't give that out. That's some special tea right there. If you want to learn, take the class. But with that in mind, now I was able to apply even more, or get tired of roots and understand why it was happening. So I just so happened to mention that once we finished the class, I was going to clean my rifle since it's the first time. And I learned that with rimfire, it may not be the best thing. And centerfire is kind of the same. There's a little bit of nuance with centerfire rifles due to the excessive pressures and velocity, but the concept is kind of still the same. I'll leave it at that, without giving out all the secrets. But that was a big learning curve for me, because like I said, I didn't understand how the bullets are constructed. Why would you clean a barrel a certain way with certain solvents or not? So that was probably the biggest lesson for me, being that I like all the science tied behind it, not just pulling the trigger. So that was huge for me. I'm definitely gonna take that and run with it. And this next one is a big issue I ran into. So I took a class last weekend. Not really a class, but it was a test session for some 308 rounds that we reloaded. I took a reloading class, so that's upcoming as well. But the issue was, we were shooting, cool, everything was fine. And then when I got home, I realized that my optic had been sliding in between the scope rings. So I was like, that's not cool. And then immediately I knew it wasn't leveled to the rifle. So then I was like, did I actually level this to the rifle when I installed it? And I didn't remember it. And most likely, if I didn't remember, I probably didn't do it. Because there were a couple times when I was aiming at the target and the reticle was like canted. I was like, it is what it is, I'll still hit the target. But that's besides the point. So I got home, took that off immediately, and I just hadn't installed it back up. So I was like, that same day I installed the scope on the 1022 and the AR that you've seen both of those today. So I was like, well, if I did something wrong, it's gonna show in both of them. It has to. I followed all the instructions. I had all the tools. So I was like, if there was something wrong, it literally can't be my fault. Cool, so we were shooting the 1022, boom, boom, boom. And I moved one time wrong. I think I bumped the scope and the base wiggled. And I was like, no way. So couldn't find out, the base, the screws that came loose. Granted, there were no Loctite on them, but I was like, well, for 22, it shouldn't really matter that much, given I was gonna take that base off anyways. So the base head came off, it was wiggling. I was like, well, the torque specs clearly are wrong, because this happened on both of these rifles. So Mark took out his handy dandy digital torque wrench. Mind you, I was using the all-in-one from Mr. Fix-It Sticks, or whatever it's called, which I thought worked perfectly, but clearly not. I may have to hit them up in terms of making sure I'm using it properly, or it may just be a manufacturer defect, which by all means we can get that cleared up as well. But He unscrewed them, Loctited them, everything. He did it up with his digital torque wrench, boom, 18, perfectly. So I was like, I'm gonna do one next. I do mine up to 18 foot-pounds, inch-pounds, whichever one is, I forget, inch-pounds. I do mine up, I'm like, should be good. He put his on there and it's like 10 inch-pounds. I'm like, no way. So clearly that wasn't my fault, no wrongdoing on my part. It's not like I just got like a magic feel for this type of thing right now. So that's something I learned. Make sure you have the right tools and possibly even verifying with another set of tools that the torque specs are correct. So I was like, well, I use the same tool for the scope rings, so I would assume those are loose too. You check them on both rifles and lo and behold, they both are loose. So that's a big thing. If your optics aren't mounted properly, sure, you can get away with it a couple rounds, a couple hundred rounds, but eventually it's gonna catch up to you. So do it right the first time so you ain't gotta do it over again. That's a big thing for me because I feel like I just wasted my time. Not that it was my fault, but it still feels like a waste of time. But I learned something, so is it really? Now I can pass that information on to y'all so you won't make the same mistakes. So that was a great learning point for me too, just to confirm my work. Just going down the list, I also have getting comfortable with the diopter and parallax. So when I first got my optics, I knew what parallax was from Red Dot World, but I didn't really understand it. Because on optics, you get a parallax adjustment knob. So I seen that and I'm like, I see the numbers on it and I'm like, maybe this is the yardage. So I'm adjusting, I'm like, yeah, it still don't look right. So long story short, from my research and from Mark explaining to me, the diopter is specifically for the reticle. So you look at like a plain white surface or whatever color surface, preferably a high magnification, but you'll get the reticle as crisp as you can with the diopter. Make sure you give your eye time to rest because your brain will try to readjust for you. So you'll look, readjust, take a peek out, look again, until you get it crispy just how you want it. You can see all the subtensions perfectly. Then with the parallax, once you get on target with whatever you're aiming at, the parallax is to set, is to prevent the reticle from moving when you're like moving your head behind the optic, but to also focus the image. So you'll notice if you set the diopter perfectly, then you go to the parallax and start to turn it, the reticle start to go out of focus. So you got to get it perfectly where the image, the entire image, including the reticle, is perfect. Once you get that, you're good to go. If at any point you start to fade away or it look like it's all just blending in, take a break. Make sure you're shooting with both of your eyes open. Definitely helps. Also something I learned because I was sitting up there like this. Eyes tied, can't see. I'm like, bro, I'm just sitting. Don't do that. Shoot with both your eyes open. It helps so much. And I knew that from the ACOGs, but I still didn't apply it for whatever reason. Bad habits. So another thing I learned. And finally, you have barrel dispersion. So you remember how I mentioned about the ammo and how I tested out the match ammo. So as I was shooting my groups, trying to get as tight as I can, the tightest I got was like a .25, which is pretty good. Mind you, the caliber is .22, so you can do the math. I do all right for myself. But anyways, so as I was shooting, I had a few rounds through, I'm just running them. And I got to a point where as I shoot, they stack. I shoot another one, stack. I'm like, all right, maybe I'm tripping. So I calm down, get my breath, relax, center point of aim, stack another, stack another, stack another. And I was like, hey Mark, what's going on? Like, I think I'm doing everything right. I've been doing pretty well so far. What's going on? He's like, how many rounds you put through it? I don't know, a few max. At this point, I'm just practicing at varying ranges for myself. He wasn't really paying attention at the time. So as I was going through it, I noticed that as the rounds were stacking, he mentioned that, have you checked the barrel, how hot the barrel was? And I was like, no. I checked it, for sure it was hot. Mind you, we haven't shot that string of ammo or that many rounds since we've been in class, so I never knew what would happen. So he was like, this is a great lesson in barrel dispersion. So as the barrel heats up, I knew this, the accuracy starts to go all over the place, which is where master barrels come into place. Again, I knew this, but when you're in the moment, you don't really realize until you you hit that aha moment. So that was my aha moment. So now I kind of know the limits of my rifle, where if I'm starting to stack shots, I know that's my signal that the barrel's getting hot. At no point today did it go, left or right, unless I did something wrong. So that's time and that's information that I gathered for my specific rifle. So I know anytime I go left or right, 9 times out of 10 is me. And if it starts to stack, that means, I'm starting to put a few rounds through it, let it relax so I can get back in that optimal window. Shout out to Mark at Liberty Firearms for all the great training he's provided me thus far. I will continue to go with him. It's the best you can get, man. It don't get no better. He has a lot of knowledge, willing to share it with whoever is willing to absorb it. This is just that simple. So with that being said, thank y'all for watching. It's been a great day of training. And just stay tuned for more videos, maybe even an in-depth review of this beautiful beverage right here, and many more to come. But make sure y'all like, share, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned for more videos. Again, thanks for watching. Y'all have a beautiful Mother's Day, if this video is even out by then. If not, still, thank you to all the mothers in the world. We couldn't do it without you. Be blessed.